Eddie Troxler here, back again, another episode of Jazz Chat. Reach me at jazzchat.org, and if you would ever like to be a guest, I have my guest chair over there waiting anytime. I think we're up to about 17 episodes. I couldn't really figure out if this was number 17 or number 18, but you can find all the videos. I try to get them up there, and also my YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel has other instructional things as well as just some play-in and some experiments. So what I do, I generally take for the purposes of this TV station. We're at FATV in Fitchburg, Mass, and they've been really good about. They help me with all this stuff because I'm not that good at it. But anyway, we use public domain jazz standards. It is now December 11th, and like I mentioned last week, my jazz gigs and stuff, I usually try to throw in a bunch of holiday music. So I was going to give you some more holiday songs between now and New Year's. So today I brought in one that I usually add to my set. It works pretty good. The March from the Nutcracker. So I downloaded a PDF of the lead sheet that I'm using. If you go to jazzchat.org, it's on there for free, so you can download it. So I have it, and I think this came from there's a classical fake book out there. It's really cool for me, that classical fake book. I think I got it when I lived in Boston. There was a Tower Records, and when they were going out of business, I bought some stuff like that. But it's great melodies to play through, and a lot of them are familiar. You didn't know you knew them, and most classical stuff is pre 1929. A lot of it anyway. I mean, there's modern classical music, but not in that book. So most of it's public domain is what I'm saying. You could use it, record it, without having to worry about copyrights. And this is one of those. I believe. Tchaikovsky, spelled with a T. I believe it says 1901 here, but who knows? I think he was 1800s. I'm pretty sure. I should brush up on my music history. It's one of those things you take for college, but most of us just memorize it for the test. But yeah, of course, Tchaikovsky wrote the Nutcracker, which this is from the Nutcracker, and a bunch of other ballets and stuff too, and other symphonies. So this march, it's in 4/4, and right off and it's in the key of G, which is a really guitar friendly key. I say it's guitar friendly. All your open strings, right? You could say that's a G6/9, right? Because you have your G, B, and a D. You have an A in there, but you also, so really that's an E minor, right there, open. And an E minor 7th, you could add that D. And the harmonics work really good too. And if you're in the key of G or E minor. Also, your other harmonic would be a B minor, which is within that key. A minor. You'll hear people do stuff like that because it's within the key, really. I mean, I don't know if that's why they do it, but that's one. It sounds good. You hear a lot of people that don't know anything about music, but they stay within the key because it sounds better. You know what I mean? So yeah, when you're practicing those triads, hopefully you're working on those. I've been kind of preaching them for a while, mostly on the high 3 strings, you know. Do go through C, go through G. It's the same 3 shapes. You're just go through D, and if you do that every day, maybe a couple of times a day, and all 12 keys, you'll really have these at your fingertips. And the next thing I want to, I'll have it downloaded soon, is the inversion of 7th chords. Say on the high 4 strings is where I use those a lot. Like say a G7, dominant 7th. There's my inversions. And what I think about is, root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. So, and I'll give you those shapes. And there, I'll get into those later because I want to get into this Nutcracker. If I have any more time left today, I'll go into them a little bit because for the major 7ths, I generally substitute. So I throw in some 6s just because, for one thing, they're uncomfortable to play, and it just doesn't sound that great to put that 7th in there. When you're just on the high voicing side. Some of it sounds all right, but it's kind of quicker to grab. Just to grab a 6, and there generally you can substitute a major 6 for a major 7. Cool. But other than that, it's just the inversions. The minors are the... All right, the Nutcracker March. First, we have a G, and like I said before, ignite your imagination. I want you to learn to do your own version. And, I'm just kind of giving you ideas, what has worked for me for different songs. Not that I'm a great, one of the best around or anything. I wouldn't claim to be, but I do make my living as a guitarist and as a teacher. I teach and play. I have been for the past at least 25 years. And also, for those of you who are debating, maybe choosing it as a career. Yeah, I it's not that lucrative or anything, but I do make a decent living, But I did learn this stuff. I went to college for music, and I did a master's in education. So that's paid off for me. All right, so we have a G and we have a D in the melody at the very beginning. So hopefully you have that downloaded. So then we have triplets with, right? So that's our first part. So if I play that G chord, I can put that D there. And some people play their G chords that way. It's still a G chord, whether that note is a D or a B. A lot of the I think of those a couple of the heavy metal ballads. They're not that heavy these days, but like the Poison song where they're going from G to C9. I think there's a Skid Row song that does the same thing. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes it easier if you're going from that G chord to a C9 to have that D in there. But anyway, back to the Nutcracker. Sorry, I get distracted quite easily. So that's the G I'm playing. I'm putting that D in the melody. And I'm leaving out the high E. So I have and then I have the triplets on a D. And then I have an E in the melody, which is open, right? All right, now I have a B minor with an F sharp in the melody. Back to those triads. And that's a root position, B, D, F sharp. It's a B minor. And if I needed, say if I were doing this solo, and I needed that bass note, I could do this, B minor. The one that we mostly learned, the first bar chord, you learn. Or it's in my book too that way. So, and that E minor it says E minor with a G in the bass, you really don't change anything except I mean, an E minor with a G in the bass is no different than a G chord, except you add the E. You know what I mean? And the E is in the melody, so you don't have to change anything on that one. Back to E minor with the E in the melody, and then it does the same thing again. All right, now you have this run, which is they're all dotted eighths followed by a 16th. So if you're thinking you're hitting the first one and the last one, which is 1 and 2 and 3. But since this is jazz chat and we're using our creativity, we hope, and this is the way I do it a lot. I swing those instead. It's the difference between a dotted eighth followed by a 16th and swing eighths is not very much different. But you can lock into the rest of, if the rest of the band's swinging, you can do that donk donk. So swing would be triplets and crossing out the middle one, or based off of that. Then you just cross out the middle one. As opposed to, it's a little bit drawn out, just a little bit more. But I'm going to swing them just because it's jazz, So that you have the A minor, D, G, C. But mostly that run is what we want to do, that melody. So you may, for me, I have to practice those. Just see if I can tighten that stand a little bit. Because I don't really have this song memorized. That's better. I think. All right. So here's what we got so far. We got. Now it is swing. So there, I keep missing that. All the way up to a D. That too, for me, I have to practice because I'll overshoot it or undershoot it if I don't. You know what I mean? So I was playing this a lot last year. I haven't played it too much this year, so bear with me. So just follow along, Then then so once you get that down, that's C D C D C B A G F sharp D, and then B C B A G F sharp E. And you do it really slow with a metronome till you get that run. Obviously, I need to shed it a little bit, because it was one that I was doing last year. I never did. I don't know if I ever recorded it or not. Maybe I can't remember. So just do it slow, and then if you're gonna swing it like I'm gonna do. And then gradually speed it up to speed. It's not super fast. I programmed it in about 115, which is not. It sounds kind of fast, but it's not that fast. It's you can actually do it at whatever speed you want to do it at. Not sure why that. All right, I think I got it. Maybe tighter. Sorry, it's not my. I borrowed this stand from the TV station. I'm not sure how to. And my music keeps kind of drooping down. My iPad. All right, so that's that run, right? And really, just probably the harder part. You got to practice some more, right? Get that one down, right? After that, you're back to those, and that's happened 2 times before already. And do that again, and then another one of those, you know. This one's a little different because when you get to that B, it goes up higher. So the first part's the same. You go. That's the second one that I have. It's again, just got to practice a lot. And swing that one too. You know what I mean? And that one ends on a B, so you're not going quite as far. It ends on that B on the 7th fret of the high E. All right. So those runs so far, and then after that run, you're gonna do similar to the beginning, but it's gonna be a B instead of a D. You have that, right? Now you have this other run that it's not necessarily swinging. Yeah, it's not necessarily in swing, but you can swing it or you don't have to. You know, if you have the rest of the band swing, you know they got to know whether you're gonna go into a straight time there or whatever. You know. Yeah, one more run, which is this. And that's pretty much, you know, it's pretty much just a G scale. There's a few alterations there. And then, you know, when you get to the end of that run, you're right back on the top. There's no, you know, there's no rest or anything. So right when you hit that, you know, you're back in. So you got, you know, that coming out of that measure, it goes. Sorry. So you don't have any time to rest. You have a DC al coda. If you don't know what that means, it's pretty standard in music. These terms are in Italian, del capo al coda. So you go back to the top, where it says DC would mean back to the top. DC al coda, and then you go to where it says to coda, and then you play the coda. So that coda is at the end of the second. And then it goes. But, you know, you could do it that way, or you could put your own ending on it, too. Because, like I say, this is jazz. You know, I think I first started playing some of these Nutcracker pieces. There were some of the faculty when I was at Berkeley. Charles Chapman, who is no longer, was a great teacher, one of the best teachers. A lot of his classes that I took they're still in my mind, but he would always do this this whole Nutcracker presentation with guitar faculty and stuff, and so it was pretty cool to hear them do it on a bunch of different guitars. He had all the parts written out, and they were good. Those bebop guitarists. So anyway, I did program it in to the band box, and if you wanted to teach your whole band to do it, the chords are written there. This is just like this classical fake book is like a lead sheet. This book is still available if you go, to Hal Leonard. There's a bunch of classical fake books, so you might can find it online for free. Some of them, but I don't know how safe that is to pull it offline. But I think it's a Hal Leonard publication. So we'll try it with the with a jazz band. I have it kind of a jazz swing version, and we'll see how it comes out. So I did it just as a straight, 4 times through. didn't put the coda. I think one of the other times when I programmed it in on my desktop at home, that I did program in that, the coda. But it works fine that way, too. You could end it wherever you wanted to. You do want to have a decent ending, though, if you're going to perform it. So that was March of the Nutcracker. Those, you could also do it with a looper, I suppose. I can't really see the chord. It's got like really small print of chords. But so yeah, you have like a G. And you could do it like that if you wanted. It sounds pretty cool with this, or you could do it with a band. But listen, you listen to Tchaikovsky's version, and then I think it's in. It seems like this is in like those a couple of movies that I know I've heard it in a couple of different ones, and then of course the Nutcracker itself is always showing in Boston. My wife, when I first met her, she was working at Jacob Worth down in the theater district of Boston, and that was their busiest time is with during the Nutcracker season, which is going on now. I've actually never seen it, so so I can't say. It must be pretty good because a lot of people go back every year, the Boston Ballet, I think. But a lot of local groups will do it too. You have community colleges and orchestras, and children like to do it. I don't know if they do the whole ballet, or it's probably shortened or something from what Tchaikovsky wrote. But some really cool stuff in the classical realm of music. Like I have my Christmas or it's holiday set list, so if there's certain ones you would like to hear that are within the public domain, I can try to go over them. I think I mentioned last week, there's not a lot of the kind of pop tunes like, Let It Snow, My Favorite Things. It gets played at Christmas. It was from, that was from the Sound of Music, I think. And Coltrane did a really cool version of it, but those are not public domain. Most of the pop tunes, like Jingle Bell, all that stuff, they were written like 40s and 50s, because Christmas wasn't such a big deal. I mean, it was a Christian holiday, like Easter, and they sang Christmas songs, but it didn't become this whole big celebration of retail until much later. I mean, I'm part of that generation that grew up with the Sears catalog and the Santa Claus and all that. But so there's not a lot of pop tunes written prior to between like or prior to 1940, 35, 40. I think maybe after World War II was when it became bigger. I don't know, but you research it yourself. It'll give you something to do. Right now I am at 28 minutes. I'm 29 minutes, so I have 1 minute left. But thank you so much for watching. And if you want to come on my show, if you have suggestions, what stuff you would like to see, just feel free to contact me. jazzchat.org. You can email me. Go to the videos are up there, and the free stuff. My book is on there, From Blues Rock to Bach, which will take you step by step. Always a free intro lesson anytime you want, online or in person. If you live in the Fitchburg, Massachusetts area, Eddy's Music is my shop. Thank you again for watching, and I'm out of here until next week.